Too?
Good job. You want to do it too?
Could I do it too?
So I captured that. We were in the pet center one day hanging out. Little kid came up. He happened to kiss the kid on the cheek, and I was right there, and I marked it and gave him a reward. And then every time a kid came up, that became the cool thing to do. We actually used that with him because in the beginning, he was afraid of children. And by pairing that really good reward with the presence of kids, he learned that kids are pretty cool. Because every time they come around, I get something really nice. So that's called counter conditioning. All right, so that's capturing. Now we're going to get into luring, and this is probably the type of training most of you have done. How many of you have a dog? Anybody? Okay. So luring is where I'm going to take the reward in my hand, and I'm going to manipulate the dog's body into the position I want, lure it into the position I want, and then mark and reward. So if you've ever taught a dog to sit or lie down, you've probably lured it.
Lie down.
So I'll show you how we lure down. Down, yes. So see, I took the treat and I just pulled from up here. Let's do it again. Down, yes. So I just took the treat and I lured him to follow it down to the ground. A really easy trick to teach using luring is a spin. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get the dog in front of us. I got some really good training treats in my hand. I'm just gonna lure around in a circle, yes, and mark and reward when he finishes the circle and comes straight again. We don't want to mark too soon or we'll actually end up rewarding half of a turn or 3/4 of a turn.
Sure.
Yes. You can do it the other direction as well. Yes. Just like that. Now when we do luring, one of the important things, and you've probably done this with sitting down, is to eventually fade the lure. And what I mean by that is, this is really hard to do. It doesn't look really snazzy. So I'm going to start making my motion a little smaller and a little smaller. Yes. Until eventually I can just say the word, spin. Yes. And he'll do it. So when we use luring, it's a great way to teach just about anything. We're going to eventually, over time, it can be weeks and months of training, fade the lure, and also give it a name. So we tell people, don't name the trick when you're first teaching it, because there's a learning curve there. The dog might make mistakes while you're teaching it, and you don't want to create some bad associations or incorrect associations. And this is the most abstract. It's called shaping. So shaping is where I kind of just wait for the dog to offer things, and I reward them. Now, true free shaping means you just kind of hang out and you wait till the dog does something cool, and you reward it, and things sort of progress, and the dog will start offering interesting things, and you might come up with a trick you never thought of. Now, when we first introduced shaping, the easiest way to do it is actually to have the dog interact with an object, because if I have an object, I can put it down. Easy way to shape. So we're going to try it here with this little pod. This is a little balance pod. We use it to help the dogs learn to put their feet on it, so they kind of learn where their feet are. It's a good proprioception exercise. So he's done this about 4 or 5 sessions. So the end goal, what I would like for him to do, is to take both front feet and put them on the pod and hold them there.
Does it hurt?
No, it doesn't hurt. It's real soft. It's just like little nubblies. Yeah, that's a good question though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the ground and I'm going to reward any interaction. Like I said, he might look at it, he might touch it with his nose, he might sniff it, he might paw at it, any interaction I want to reward. And then I'm slowly going to try to reward things that are a little closer and a little closer to the end behavior. Yes. Now see, he's done this a couple of times, yes.
Now this dog is... Look at this dog.
Yes.
Still
Good. Now occasionally I'll toss a treat away. That gives him a chance to kind of reorganize and see what he does. Yes. Oh, good boy. Yes. Okay. So this is an interesting thing. Like I said, we've done this a few sessions. one of the issues we started to come up with is kind of, we'll show you how shaping works. So the first session, I was rewarding him mostly for looking at it and nose touching it. And he might have put his foot on it just briefly. The next session, I rewarded him one time for taking his foot and scooting it. And then he started scooting it, and scooting it, and scooting it, and scooting it. And at first I rewarded it, because I was like, okay, he's interacting with it, this is good. And then we sort of got stuck there, where he was like scooting it across the floor. So I had to stop rewarding that and just kind of wait and see if he was gonna think and try something different. Because that's the whole point of this game. The dog realizes, okay, that's not working anymore. What else can I try? So what you're doing is you're creating a dog that really thinks for themselves. Now when you first start shaping, if your dog has always been lured, they will probably stand there and look at you, waiting for you to tell them what to do. So that's why interacting with an object kind of gets the ball rolling. So we'll try it one more time here. Yes, 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 excellent, good boy. We'll do it again. Yes. Yes, good boy, good boy. Now what I'm doing right now is called jackpotting. He's got both feet right where I want him. Okay. And so I rewarded a whole bunch of rapid fire treats to let him know that that's exactly right. So does that make sense, shaping? It's kind of abstract. And there's a learning curve for both the dog and the human when you start doing it. But it's a lot of fun because I'm going to show you some interesting tricks that we have taught him using shaping. So I pretty much retrieve anything I want all the way with your booty on the ground. Lie down. Wait. Go get him. Get him. Yes. So he fetches my keys and we shaped this. And the way we shaped it was, see, if you think about dog training as problem solving, it's how can I take this complex trick? I need him to go over, pick up the keys, bring them, and jump up and put them in my hands. How can you break that down a bunch of little steps? Well, the first thing is he has to learn how to pick the keys up by this little key fob, which is cloth. So I taught him to touch it, then to put it in his mouth. Yes. And to play a little tug with it and bite it. And then eventually the point where I could hand it to him and he'd hold it. And then I could put it on the ground and he would pick it up. And then slowly add the distance. So we can do the same thing with the remote control. Sit. Wait. Go get it. Get it up. Oh, I didn't get it. Good try. Yes, good boy. So just fun, silly tricks. This next trick, I need a volunteer. Okay, we'll have you come stand right here in the middle.
No. Eli.
Stand there too if you want. All right, so this is the trick. Go ahead. Can you guys see what he's doing? Heck yeah.
Oh.
He's not really going to do it. This is a trick that we taught him using shaping. I'll come in from this angle so you can see better. Okay, you guys can go sit down. Yeah, he's not really going to do it because he's like a girl dog. Anyhow, that's a fun trick to shape. So we shaped him to put that hind foot on a low, big platform, a box. Like I think it was a Rubbermaid container that was about 2 inches tall that we turned upside down. And then we slowly raised the level of the box. And then once we had it up, a foot or so off the ground, we started marking the moment before he put his foot on the box. So now we're rewarding him for lifting and holding it there. And then we switched it to people and poles and things. That's a fun party trick. You can scare all your friends. We've done that before. It's a lot of fun. All right, now I'm going to show you a couple of fun tricks that we taught you, mostly using luring, just so you can see some interesting stuff. Yes.
Whoa.
Good boy. All right.
How do you do that?
Wait. Okay. All right, so another really fun, easy trick that you can teach any dog is a leg weave. So I'm gonna walk forward and he's gonna weave through my legs. Yes, good boy. Find it. So it's an easy trick to teach using luring. You're gonna have the dog sit. You're gonna take one big step forward on the opposite foot, Yes. Now the reason why we toss the treat instead of feeding it from our hand is if we feed it from our hand every time, you end up with a dog that every time they come through, they look up at you. So if you toss it, they learn to weave and drive forward. Reward placement. Okay? So that's pretty much all we have. If anybody have any questions, be happy to answer any questions at all about the training you saw, anything at all about the dogs here, what we do here.
Is a dog ever too old to train?
Is a dog ever too old to train? No. I don't think so. Having said that, obviously very geriatric dogs or dogs that have health issues due to age, we have to take that into consideration. When dogs get very old, they can develop dementia just like humans, where cognitively they can't think through things and problem solve as well. They don't remember things very well. So of course, with really older dogs, we have to be careful. But yeah, they can learn a new trick, anytime. Yeah.
Can you train like every breed?
Can you train every breed?
Yeah.
Yes, I think any dog is trainable. The key is to figure out what motivates them. So some breeds of dogs and types of dogs are generally easier to work with. Herding breeds like the cattle dog, the border collie, the Australian shepherd, they have been bred to work with humans for so long and to herd livestock and herd those livestock to humans. They tend to be very what we call biddable, like they want to do what you ask them to do. Terriers, not so much, because these are dogs that have been bred to go to ground and get varmints, get rats, kill raccoons, possums, things like that. So they're more independent thinkers. They don't rely on us to tell them what to do. They need to make decisions on their own. So if you take into consideration the breed of the dog, you can kind of it's not about working against their natural tendencies, it's about figuring out how to work with them. Yes, right here.
What about a black dog?
What about a black lab to train? They're really intelligent. Labrador Retrievers actually rank in the top 10 for trainability and intelligence. They're usually, depending on the test, between number 4 and 6 on the list, usually, every list I've seen. So up at the top. How old is he? He is 9. He turned 9 in April, yeah. So we're not sure if he's gonna be retiring from Frisbee after this year because of this injury. We're gonna kind of wait and see how he heals, because 9 is getting pretty old for a Frisbee dog to do what they do in the shows. They usually retire between the age of 8 and 11, depending on the dog. Every dog's different.
Do you know how to train dogs not to bark that much? Because I heard about
How to train dogs not to bark that much.
And then
That is one of the most difficult things for me personally,
guard
I think
dog.
that you can train. Yeah, it's
the
it requires a lot of management. So trying to avoid putting them in those situations where they're gonna bark while you're teaching them that barking is not what you want. I've not really had much success with it. My dogs all bark, and I just am like, they're barking, they're happy, they're dogs. All right, anybody else? You have a question?
Is he a boy or a girl?
He's a boy. Yeah, he's a boy. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'm gonna put a leash on Bolt, and then you guys can come down and say hi to him. And then we have our 1:30 show over at the performance ring. So come check that out outside.
Can he do flips?
Well, he can, but he's not allowed to right now because he's healing. Because he has a sprained muscle.
And the dog and squirt and squirt and jump and
Aggressive kiss, wasn't it? It was a kiss with a little nose poke. You okay? Yeah. Sometimes he gets real excited about kissing.
You don't want to pet
And
him?
he jumps up and he nose pokes people. Do you want to shake Paul? Thanks, man.
Eli.